I'm Melissa Lycan, and today we're looking at Google in 2013. In 2013, Google was worth $58.7 billion between properties and other intangible assets, cash on hand, and their securities investments. The network consisted of data centers all over the world in each country in order to avoid foreign laws and firewalls and create freedom of information with limited government oversight. The main revenue sources at Google are advertising. The Google website and the network of member websites generated nearly $38 billion in advertising revenue annually. That is 91% of all of the total company revenue comes in the form of advertising dollars. So you can tell Google's data centers are fairly important. As you can see as we take a look at the trends, each revenue channel maintains an upward trajectory. Approximately 20% rapid growth in 2011 to 2012, and that dropped to 10% in 2013. While most revenues increased, revenues for pay-per-click declined based upon new programs and discounts offered. Now, while a hefty portion of the revenue is concentrated in the US, as you can see, 55% of all of the revenue comes from foreign markets. Now, the Google team predicts that revenue could decline based upon factors in each market. Let's take a look at how these can affect the overall forecasting. Advertising continues its transition into an online forum. This means more users online, more varied platforms to use, and various forms of advertising to consumers. More and more consumers have begun trafficking low ad sites. This also means that there may be increased bottom line expenses to capture those consumers. Now, the added user base means more diversity, which leads to increased cultural integration, varied laws based upon municipality and nation states. It also means competitors vary, but the biggest threats to revenue are other groups that make most of their money on advertising. Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon take the cake for competition. Now, policies and legal issues with nation states firewalls have already led the company to build data centers throughout the world, regularly subject to claims, suits, government investigations, and other proceedings involving competition, antitrust, intellectual property, just to name a couple of those. Now, in addition to this, several of the data centers sit on fault lines. So the risk of an earthquake shaking the company at its roots and really costing a hefty dollar amount is possible. Though not probable, it's very possible. Though rebuilding a data center of that stature would cost, an easy $500 million. As mentioned, exchange rates can cause large discrepancies as well in profit and loss. One slight fluctuation in exchange rate can affect millions in taxes and exchanges. For example, if the US dollar increases its value by 20%, the company would reap a 2,000% profit against the dollar dropping 20%, in which case the company would remain stagnant and potentially lose money that year. Now, the best reasons for growth in terms of the exchange rate are Brazil and Japan. They're very weak against the dollar, as opposed to the euro, where the euro is very strong against the dollar. Now, in forecasting the future trends of Google, I would forecast that the company will stay on a steady 10% growth rate until the next shift in technology happens, at which time they will adapt again or settle into a stagnant posture. ultimately leading in the long tail to a decline over another decade period. Now, this means that rapid, attractive hiring growth Google has enjoyed for a decade now slows to a trot. And as they gather their bearings in the markets, I don't foresee that growth speeding up anytime soon. So this stock has turned from a rapid growth to a slow growth or a conservative stock just by transitioning a few key factors in the markets. Now, ultimately, Google can make daily, weekly, and monthly decisions based upon trends in the market that can maintain the current 2013 growth, and that should project it for the next 3 years. The global economy is shifting again. It's creating a more open world that allows a greater connectivity. Google isn't going anywhere. They're built on Erlang, compartmentalized for security, even from the governments of the world. That is a company I can get behind. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Please learn more about Google at www.google.com.